Well, hello and welcome to AJ112 Introduction to Criminology. My name is Tony Farrar, and of course, I am your instructor for this semester. So today's lecture is going to cover the syllabus review, and when we have completed that, we'll jump into the actual course canvas where I can kind of show you around and give you a little early look at what's inside of it and how to navigate around and where a couple of things are at. So with that said, let's go ahead and just jump right into our syllabus review. So starting at the top, if you're following along, again, this is AJ112, Introduction to Criminology. The section number is 3519, and of course, we are in the spring 2021 semester. Next, I have some of my instructor information. My office is located on the Menifee campus. It's in the 3000 building. The office number is 3003, and you can see my on-campus office hours here. However, since we are fully online, I will be hosting office hours virtually on Wednesday evenings from 6 to 7 p.m. And as we get going with the semester, I'll send out the Zoom link to my meeting room, and then if you want to attend office hours on Wednesday evening, or you have questions or other things to bring up, you can go ahead and do that at that particular time. Going back up here just for a minute, I have my email information, my Twitter account information. If you are interested in the MSJC Criminal Justice Club, I have a link to their Facebook page, and also I have a link to the career education website. Should you have any more need for information or even counseling on career education, this is their homepage, if you will. Okay, so moving down, just to let you know, I am also available at other times by appointment. Email, of course, is the best way to get in touch with me. So if you need to make a one-on-one appointment or something like that, we can either do it by phone or we can do it by Zoom. If you email me, we can go ahead and set that up. I'll send you the link, and then we can go ahead and discuss whatever it is that's going on. If you do email me, please do me a favor. Place AJ112-3519 Intro to Criminology and your name in the subject line. Now, it might seem like a lot, and you can cut it down if you want to, but AJ112-3519 Introduction to Criminology, an example, I put my name here. And the reason for that is because of the fact that I teach so many classes. This really is the best way to make sure I know exactly who you are and what class you're in. Sometimes I have students in 2 or 3 of my courses, and they're asking a question about one particular class, but I don't know that because they don't tell me which course. So this just makes it easier for me, and it's more expedient for you, because then once I can identify who you are, what class you're in, I can get you that information back in a timely manner. Also, please note that all emails should come from your MSJC email account. Please do not use your personal email account. If in fact you are requested to submit a written assignment in Canvas, which in this course you will, so the answer here is yes, please do me a favor and submit it in Microsoft Word. If you don't want to keep it in Microsoft Word format, you can always convert that to a PDF file. If you send or submit an assignment in another word processor format like WordPerfect or Pages or Keys, or you submit it through something like Google Docs, there's no guarantee that I will be able to open it. And if I can't open it, I can't read it. If I can't read it, I can't grade it. And if I can't grade it, I can't give you points for it. So if you have an issue with any of that, please get a hold of me ahead of time and we'll work things out. But again, make sure it's Microsoft Word or a PDF doc directly uploaded into Canvas, not through Google Docs, because there's always a password, and Canvas a lot of times won't let me open that, okay? Finally, if you do not know how to set up your email or set up your whatever electronic device you're using to receive email or announcements, please contact the college help desk, and I also have some information in your course canvas that'll help you with this as well. And then finally, at the bottom of the page, please just note the syllabus here is a living document, if you will, which means that it is subject to change during the semester. Now, typically, I don't like to make changes, but every once in a while, I might. And if I do make a change, you will be made aware of that change when it occurs in the form of either an email or an announcement via Canvas. That's another plug for why it's important for you to set up your electronic device to where you can receive announcements, text messages, or however you want that to come to you. If in fact you have any other questions about the course, please get in touch with me. All assignments, all due dates are listed in the syllabus, so it is really your responsibility to follow the assignments and keep track of the due dates. Now, I'm going to help you. So, it says here, while I send out reminders, and I'm going to send out reminders to help you, at the end of the day, please note, it's not my responsibility to remind you of due dates or things like tests or quizzes or when your term papers due, etc., because all of that information is, one, in this video lecture, two, it's posted in your syllabus, and three, it's located in your course canvas. So you've got three different things kind of helping you out there. So please do your best to keep track of when things are due. Okay, so what actually is this course about? Well, just kind of in a general sense, this course is the study of crime in America. And that's pretty broad, you guys, but it's going to include things like theories, theories of the causes of criminal behavior. I mean, have you ever been watching TV or the news or a video or whatever, and you kind of wondered why somebody did what they did? We're going to look at that, and we're going to look at the theories that are behind the causes of criminal behavior. We're going to look at the nature of criminal behavior, the extent of criminal behavior, and then control, meaning how does law enforcement respond, or how do we control crime, and even the prevention of crime. And we're going to focus on the individual and groups. So these different criminal behavior systems, if you will, or these groups, say like gangs, terrorism, etc. We're also going to take a look at different behavioral responses, by law enforcement to criminal activity and its nature and causes. So basically, why do people do what they do in the essence of criminal activity? So it's going to be awesome. We're going to have a great time. So here, and I'm not going to go through all of these. I'll let you look at these at your leisure. These are the department program learning outcomes. Next, we have a list of student learning outcomes, those things that we want you to walk away with or be able to do. And then finally, some of the course learning objectives, some of these things that we're going to kind of focus on as we go through the entire semester. Next, we have information on the textbook. So the book is called Criminology, the Core. It's the 7th edition. It's a Cengage published book in 2018. It's an awesome book. It's very easy to follow. And I'm going to give you the spiel, the 30-second spiel, if you will, on why you should get the textbook. So there's a lot of information in criminology. There's a lot of theory. There's a lot of content. There's a lot of definitions. There is so much. And for me to squeeze everything from that chapter into a lecture would be very difficult, or the lecture would be really, really super long and you wouldn't want to watch it. So if you get the textbook, whether it's an e-version or the bound version, or however you want to say that, it's going to help you because you're going to be able to learn some of the definitions. You're going to be able to learn some of the theories. It's going to help you add context of the subject matter that we're talking about. And be able to apply it by some examples that are in the textbook. So I really hope that, with this level of a course, that you would pick up the textbook, because it really is going to help you be successful in getting through this particular class. Now, the textbook, of course, is available online at the San Jacinto or the Menifee bookstores, or I'm sure that most of you know where your favorite place is to pick up a textbook, whether it's Chegg, whether it's Amazon, or whether you rent, or whether you get an ebook. It really doesn't matter, whatever's more comfortable for you. But again, that's my pitch for the textbook. Next, I have the California Penal Code. Now, it's not listed as a primary textbook, but we are going to refer to it from time to time, because we're going to talk about certain laws and codes, and even whether they should be laws, etc. So with that being said, we're going to need to look in this book of laws, which is the California Penal Code. But you really don't need it, because you can access all of this information online. So if you have a penal code, hey, that's great. If you don't, I've included a link to a website called legalinfo.gov, and it has all of the California codes there. Okay, so moving on, and here we are if you're following along. Let's talk about the course check-in. And while all of this is super important, pay particular attention to what you need to do to check into this class. So, the way the course typically runs, or most of my classes run, is it's built in weekly modules or units. And the weekly modules always, typically, open on a Monday at 8 a.m. and close on Sunday at 11 p.m. So you have that week to do all the work in the module. And I'll give you a visual picture of this in a minute. But our first week only happens Monday is a holiday. So typically the semester would have opened on Monday, January 18th. But because Monday is a holiday, just this week, it's going to open on Tuesday. So our course check-in will open on Tuesday the 19th at 8 a.m. because Monday's a holiday. And in this check-in, you're going to go through the course orientation. And part of that are two things that you have to do as part of the check-in. You're going to want to check in using discussion board 1, or the first discussion board. This is part of your official check-in for this class. Also, as part of the check-in, you're going to need to complete a short 10-question syllabus quiz. Now, you're going to have from the 19th at 8 in the morning until Sunday the 24th at 11 p.m. to complete this process, to go through the orientation module and do these 2 graded assignments. So hopefully that makes sense. Failure to complete the check-in process will result in you being dropped from the class. And the reason for this is not because I'm mean. It's because that typically there's a waiting list for the course, and I'll have to move down the course roster on the waiting list and let somebody else in. So please check in during that time period. I'll send a couple of reminders just to let you know, but at the end of the day, it is your responsibility. So now let's move on, and we're at the bottom of the page here, and let's look at some course guidelines and some expectations. So this is a somewhat fast-paced class with a lot of information and reading provided to you weekly, thus another reason for the book, right? You really need to keep up with the readings. Don't just rely on the PowerPoint lectures to get you through the class. And, again, this is a pretty high priority course. It's up there. Criminology is not a super simple subject. So you need to really read the chapters in the textbook. And again, some of the legal terms that you're going to run across, or some of the theories at first might be a little hard to understand because you don't know them yet. So because of that, You're going to need, again, to read the chapters, in your textbook carefully to fully understand the subject matter and to also add context to what we're talking about so you can actually apply it in a situation. So hopefully that makes sense. And in some cases, you might even have to look up a word or a term on the internet, in the penal code or a law dictionary. But I'll give you links to these areas, and they're in your course canvas. But also, finally, if you have any problem at all with a concept or a theory or something that you don't understand, let me know, and I'll discuss it in that general discussion area in our course canvas. There's an area, and we'll talk about discussions a little bit later in this lecture, but there's a general discussion board area where you can post a question, and either myself or another student can get back to you. It doesn't really matter who, and we can talk about it a little bit more. So with that said, this is not an easy class, and it's going to require some work on your part if you want to do well, which I really hope that's your goal, is to do well. However, this class can be extremely rewarding from all of the knowledge that you're going to gain in regards to criminology. So, what are some expectations then? Well, some of those expectations would be that you would participate in a variety of activities that will achieve those learning objectives that we kind of breezed through earlier in the syllabus. So let's go through these one at a time. So number one, reading the required material. So reviewing the PowerPoint slide or reading the lecture notes or articles or the chapter in your textbook. Number two, viewing the weekly videos relating to each chapter, the PowerPoints with the audio lectures, like I'm doing now. I do this with every chapter. And also the introductory videos in the chapters or the case study information. Number three, participating in what I like to call thoughtful and timely discussions via the discussion board, and we'll talk more about that in a minute. Number four, completing the online course matching exercise assessment. Now, every weekly module, so every chapter has a matching exercise. This is a non-graded assessment, and basically it's key terms. On one side, you have the definitions, and on the other side, or on one side, you have the key terms, and on the other side, you have definitions. And you match them up, and this exercise will help you learn some of the important key terms for each of the chapters that we go through. And it's not graded, it's a mechanism to help you learn. Number five, completing the online and timed quizzes. Number six, completing the online and timed exams. Number seven, completing the case study. And finally, number eight, completing the midterm writing assignment. Now, please note, and here we are if you're following along, that failure to participate in the discussion boards, missing quizzes or exams, or failing to turn in any other assignments, or missing a combination of these activities may cause you to be dropped from the class. Now, if you miss one quiz or one discussion board, that doesn't mean you're going to be dropped. But if you fall off the map for 3 weeks and you don't do any assignments for 3 weeks, there's a very good chance, unless you've gotten in touch with me about an issue, you will be dropped from the course. So please keep that information in mind. Set time aside during your week to do your work. Now, this type of course is what we call an asynchronous course, which means that you need to do assignments between a certain date and time. Now, synchronous means that we're all going to meet at the same time. So my weekly office hours, those are synchronous meetings, because every Wednesday night from 6 to 7, I'll be logged on in my office. And if you want to pop in and you have questions, you can do that. That's a synchronous time. During the semester, we might have a couple of opportunities to meet online synchronous. It's not mandatory, but it's a time where people can log in and exchange information or ask questions or cover topics, Or it might even be a time where I have a guest speaker, and that would be a synchronous login meeting. So hopefully that kind of makes sense. Online readiness. How do you know that you're ready for an online class? Well, you've already heard some of the expectations, but if you need a little bit more, I have a couple of helpful links. And there's a lot more information like this in your orientation in week 1 of your course, okay? But here's just a couple of helpful hints. So I have a link to the MSJC online learning page where they have some information on how to kind of self-assess on whether you're ready. And then I also have a link to the same page where they have some video tutorials and other information for you to, again, gauge your readiness. They'll have a video on how to navigate Canvas, a video on how to set up your electronic device to receive emails, etc. So these are some helpful hints, but again, a lot more information is in your course Canvas. Okay, next would be technology. And then we're going to talk about some Canvas functions that are important for you to know. So first off, you are responsible for your computer equipment and internet connection independent, separate from the college. So what I'm trying to say is that you need to plan your coursework to be able to accommodate for any type of computer thing or other problem that happens on your end. I'm asking you to have a backup plan, okay? And it's really important that you do that, because just because there's an issue on your end doesn't mean that I'm going to extend deadlines on assignments. Now, that doesn't mean that I won't, but I'm asking you to have some type of a backup plan so we can kind of keep things moving throughout the semester and students don't fall behind. So it's not an automatic grounds for relaxing deadlines. Now, on the other hand, if the college Canvas goes down or something else happens, then yes, I can switch some deadlines, and I have no problem doing that because, it's on the college end. But again, please try to make sure you have a backup plan should something happen. So now what are some of those functions of Canvas, if you're unfamiliar with Canvas, that are, they're all important, but the ones that we tend to look at more? Well, first of all, to be successful, I really suggest that you check Canvas about twice a week. Navigate through your Canvas shell so you know where things are at. Okay, make sure you set up your electronic device again to receive information. But here are a couple of areas to focus on. The first would be modules, because the modules are where your weekly assignments are at. Remember, I talked about weekly modules? This is where everything is held. So you need to make sure that you have that information in there. So for example, module 1 will be titled Week 1, and Week 1 will contain all assignments needed to complete for Week 1. Does that make sense? And those modules will have things like audio lectures or chapter PowerPoints or links to videos and articles, exams, quizzes, or other related guides. And the goal here is for you to be able to find everything and not have to click around all over the place to try to locate things. Okay, apologize for that. I had to, it's the holiday season, so I had to answer the front door. So I apologize for the pause. I know we had left off, we were talking about discussions or the modules. So I do know we completed the modules. Let's talk a little bit about discussions as we move forward. Again, this is where the group discussions are going to occur on various topics. And I'll also have a general discussion board, which I talked about earlier, for general questions, etc. And in those discussion boards, I'm going to post, links to videos or little articles to help add some content to the discussion question. Next would be the announcement. And this is important because this is where you're going to find your announcements for the class, including, other relevant information on changes to quizzes or upcoming information. Let's say I have a guest speaker and I send it out via an announcement, or maybe there's a job fair or some cool criminology thing going on, or just some really neat article that I found that's related to criminology and I want to send it out and have you read it. So important, again, to set up your announcements. Gradebook is important. Why? Because it's your gradebook and that's where your grades are. Extra credit, keep in mind I have one extra credit assignment built into the course already, and there will be opportunities for other extra credit as the semester goes on. I'll show you where those are in the when we get into the course Canvas review at the end of this lecture. But there's one already set up in here and a couple more to follow. Now, don't depend on extra credit to make up for other assignments. Again, keep track of your due dates, etc., and make sure you set time aside to complete all of your assignments. Okay, instructional methods. Well, how are we going to learn all this then? We got all this stuff. Well, lectures, news articles, a lot of news articles, visual aids, PowerPoint, video, the class discussions, written assignments, quizzes, exams. Again, you're always welcome to attend any, I put in-class presentation, but because we're online, any virtual presentation by any of the guest speakers that I might have, and I will let you know in advance of any of those dates. If in fact you need some type of academic support, this is available at the MSJC LRC, the Learning Resource Center, and it's going to be virtual, of course, or by contacting or emailing the help desk. In your course Canvas, in the orientation, I have a lot of information relating to student success and assistance. So make sure you go through each one of those pages, and I'll show you what it looks like again as we get a little bit closer to looking at the course Canvas. So finally, just remember, check your Canvas and your email a couple times a week for different, announcements or information, etc. It really is your responsibility to monitor your Canvas for these types of changes. Student code of conduct. Well, this the code itself is available in the MSJC catalog, and I encourage you to read it. But if you don't have one, that's fine. You can find it online, which now you can find everything online, right? All I'm asking is, because we are using virtual meetings sometimes, we have office hours, and we're using discussion boards, is that we pay particular attention to our language when we're using discussion boards. And please note that everyone is different. And isn't that great? Because if we were all the same, what a boring place it would be, right? But because we're all different, we have different opinions about different things. And that's what's cool, because we can think about what somebody else says, and we don't have to agree on it, or maybe we might change our mind and agree with somebody else. But I just want us all to be professional. If we agree, let's do it professionally. If we disagree, let's do it professionally. I want everybody to get involved and kind of tell me how they feel about certain controversial things, because there will be a couple of those subjects, of course. But again, let's just all be professional about how we present things and how we say things, and we're all adults at the end of the day. With that said, there's a thing out there called netiquette. This is kind of the etiquette of cyberspace, or in other words, there's some rules for how to behave properly online. If you want to know more about that, it's kind of interesting. Virginia Shea, an author, has defined some of these issues and discussed them at length in one of her books called Netiquette. And I've included here a link to her core rules of netiquette. And it's not going to answer all of your questions, of course, but it will give you some basic principles to use in solving some of these different, netiquette dilemmas. I've also included in your course Canvas and here in your syllabus a couple of cool links. Cornell Law is one. It's a really interesting law website for those studying law, and also the U.S. Supreme Court website. Next, we have exams and quizzes. So the quiz and exam questions, and here we are if you're following along, will come directly from the textbook, lecture, PowerPoints, audio lecture, like I'm doing now, or designated articles or videos. And each week, You're going to have a reading assignment, a video lecture like now, a short 15 question quiz covering the corresponding chapter, and either a discussion topic or what I call a fact or fiction topic. Now, throughout the semester, there'll be an additional 3 chapter exams, a midterm writing assignment, and a case study. And then don't forget, there's that key term matching exercise, that non-graded exercise that you can take to help you learn your key terms. A little bit more on the discussion boards. These are typically reflective in nature. Therefore, they are meant to make you think about a certain thing. Maybe even think about it enough to where you would research it a little bit more on your own, and then consider other perspectives, and then finally provide a response. So you're going to have a total of 15 discussion boards. You're going to have 1, which is the course check-in, that counts, and then 14 fact or fiction discussion topics for a total of 15. And each one of these is worth up to 10 points. Now, when responding to discussion boards, make sure you read the information or watch the corresponding video. So when you go to a discussion board, sometimes there's a little article or a video that you're going to watch that helps add context to the topic of the discussion, right? And then after you do that, you're going to want to respond with what I call a complete, well thought out response. Now, if you want full credit for your response, it has to be at least 5 sentences in length. If it's less, you're not going to get full credit. And also, don't simply copy somebody else's response. The more focused and thought out the response, the more points you're going to receive. And don't respond with just an "I agree, professor." Tell me what you think and why you think that way. You can even put a reference in there if you found your information at some place. You don't have to, but you can. That's always a cool thing to do. Now, with that said, feel free to respond or comment on another student's post, because that's how we get the discussion going, right? Thus, the word discussion board. And in this particular framework, you can say, "I agree" or "I disagree," but tell the other student maybe why. "Hey, I agree with you. That's cool because I think this way too." Or, "Hey, yeah, you know why I agree with that part. I don't agree with that because of this." So that's kind of how you deal with the discussion boards. All right. So I'm not going to go through all this, but this could be the same information is in your course canvas. So here's your case study, where you're going to select one of these 3 individuals to write about. And I give you some of the information to write about. Here's some information on how you're going to present this. Then you have your extra credit assignment. This is the one that's built in to the course. So you'll talk about the Zodiac Killer, and here's some questions, and here's how you might submit this actual assignment. So this particular extra credit assignment is worth 15 points. So kind of at the end of the day, before we start looking at grading, again, remember this course follows a weekly module, kind of modular format. And everything you need, the PowerPoints, the quizzes, the exams, the discussion, etc., are in those modules. And remember, the modules open on Mondays at 8 and they close the following Sunday at 11, except for week 1, right? So remember, week 1 will open on Tuesday the 19th at 8 a.m. because this day is a holiday. And then you'll have till the following Sunday, the 24th at 11, to do everything in the weekly module. That's the orientation. As a general rule, then, there are no makeups for your classwork. Now, that doesn't mean ever. It means as a general rule. And the reason is that you have 6 days to complete the assignments in the modules. And there's really not that many. Therefore, it's up to you to set time aside to get your work done. Now, with that said, I also know that stuff happens. So that stuff or emergencies will be evaluated on a case-by-case basis. Things like jury duty, military deployment, medical emergencies, etc. But at the end of the day, when it's all said and done, keep in mind it's your responsibility, right, to make time for completing the assignments. Don't wait until the last minute. Set time aside during the week and make that your time to do your work. And finally, while I will do my best to remind you of due dates and other information, ultimately, again, it's your responsibility to know this and plan accordingly. Okay, some helpful hints. There's a couple of issues. Typically, there's 3 issues that I see with online students who have problems. First is the inability to keep track of dates. You need to be able to self-pace and regulate, meaning keeping track of your assignment due dates and not waiting until the last minute to do stuff, right? Second would be thinking that because, there's a lot of quizzes and a lot of discussion boards, there's so many of these and they're just little, that it won't matter if I miss a few. Well, in reality, it does matter, because missing assignments it kind of adds up quick. And before you know it, you're behind. And then finally is to make sure that you set up your electronic device to receive notifications or important announcements once they're sent out or posted. Okay, so now we're going to talk about grades. Before we jump in there, I want to go through one thing. Remember, there's a chapter quiz every week, and then there's larger chapter exams, and I'll show you what those look like here. But on the weeks that you have a chapter exam, you're still going to have the quiz, because there's a quiz. The quiz kind of introduces you to the chapter, all right? So a little helpful hint is on those weeks, and there's not many of them, there's just a couple, but on those times where you have a chapter exam and a quiz, do the quiz first. All right, grading scale, self-explanatory. Okay, not too hard to figure out. And here's all the percentages. Here are your graded assignments. Okay, you have your 3 chapter exams. Your third one is your final. Your discussion boards, your weekly ones. Your check-in discussion board, your syllabus quiz, your midterm paper, your quizzes, your case study, for a total of 600 points. Again, I already have a 15-point extra credit assignment built in, and throughout the semester, I will throw out a couple of more, so don't worry about that. Don't count on them, okay, but there will be some other ones that are coming forward. Next, I have some important dates. I'll let you look at those at your leisure. If you need assistance in any form or fashion, please let me know. You can either receive certain accommodations if you need them. You can meet with a counselor in the DSPS program. You can do that virtually online, or if it's something else, you can email me and let me know what the issue is, and I can help you work through whatever that is. Written assignment. This is also in your course Canvas, but here is your writing assignment. I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but it's got some directions on how to do it. Kind of an interesting thing here, and it's important to note that in your Canvas, I will have an instructional video on how to write your paper in APA format. It's going to include examples on formatting the cover page, an abstract, a reference page, along with step-by-step instructions on how to cite and format your references, okay? So don't panic. There's an entire separate module in your course Canvas that I will show you that has that. And also, returning for this 2021 semester is our student tutor, our AJ tutor, Rita, and there's information in this same module on how to get a hold of Rita and set up a Zoom appointment, etc., if you need assistance with writing your paper. And then speaking of writing your paper, don't forget, everybody knows what plagiarism is. Remember that copying a part of a sentence, a text, an article, or a news story in a paper without acknowledging the source or using quotes is plagiarism. So, I'm not going to read through all of these. You know what it is, but here's kind of the best rule of thumb. If you didn't think of it yourself or it's not common knowledge, cite it. And if you're not sure, do it anyway. Okay. So finishing up, and then we're going to jump into the course Canvas real quick. Here's what the weeks are going to look like. So week 1, now I have Monday the 18th, but we know that Monday's a holiday, so it's going to be the 19th. This is where you're going to do your orientation this week. And it's going to consist of the review video, which you're watching now, hopefully, the discussion board check-in, and the syllabus quiz. Week 2 is going to be Unit 1 or Chapter 1. Opens on Monday, closes on Sunday. You'll have the video lecture, the key term assessment, your quiz, and your discussion. And you also have an introduction portion in the chapter, and I'll show you what that looks like. But I want to go down here to week 6. So Unit 5. So you still have a chapter to do. There's the video lecture, you still have key terms, and then you have the quiz that relates to Chapter 5. Now you have your first chapter exam that covers chapters 1 through 5. So do the quiz first, and then you have your discussion. And it's formatted to look similar for consistency, so you know kind of what to expect. All right, now we're going to jump in really quick to the course Canvas shell, and I'm going to slide this screen over. So your view may not be the same as mine because mine is the instructor view, but here on the left-hand side will be your navigation. This is what, when you log in, this is what you should see, hopefully. I've got some information about the course, a couple of cool videos to watch. We've got the course learning objectives, etc. My information, yes, I went to Cambridge. It's pretty cool. And a little tutorial on how to use Canvas. And then to start the orientation, you can go to modules or you can go start here. And this will take you to, and I'm going to slide out of the navigation so you can see the page, the orientation. And this is where you're going to walk through the course orientation. And down at the bottom right, there's a little button that says next. I want you to be able to see the whole thing. So you won't be able to see the whole thing here. But if you click the next button, it's going to walk you through the orientation, which tells a little bit about me. And then how to get started. Okay, and this is where I told you there's a lot of information. The textbook, okay, some other information on support, online student success. This is all for you to help you. Office hours, general questions, information to ask the library, time expectations. How much time should I really think that I'm going to have to donate to this class? Study expectations. All of this is in here for you. This is good information. There's a little more on netiquette, which we talked a little bit about in our review. How to set up your profile and your notification preferences, etc. The course syllabus. I haven't uploaded the syllabus yet, but so you can see this is me wearing my favorite shirt. It's in the syllabus because it is. Here you will find a copy of the syllabus that I will post along with this video lecture. Then you have your discussion board check-in. So it's in the module. It's built in. You can't miss it. You have the syllabus quiz. It's built into the module. You have a lot of support services should you need those. And then finally, you're done with that. So that's the week 1 module. Now, if you click on modules, you can look at this in a modular view. This is the home page. That takes you to the home page. Here's the module we just went through. I have a module on how to access Zoom, a module on the Criminal Justice Club, a module on cool websites. If you want to know about the Bill of Rights or the court systems, which I really suggest that you look at, here is the midterm writing assignment module. There's a video lecture on how to do your paper. Here's your actual assignment, how to upload the paper, information on our AJ tutor. Here's your case study information, your extra credit, other extra credit. So you see how it's all modular. Here's week 2. This is what, after week 1, you're going to go to week 2 module, and I'm going to walk you through this so you can see what it looks like. There's an overview of the module. It tells you a little bit about it. Then there's an introduction and maybe a video or two. Okay, so a little bit to get your juices flowing. Then there's the actual video lecture. And there's one of those for every chapter. There's the PowerPoint. If you don't want to hear my voice, you can just use the PowerPoint. Here's your assessment exercise, the key terms. Here's your quiz, right? And then your discussion question. And this one is a fact or fiction. And then you'll post your information. And then you're done. So that's what a module looks like. Now, I also have a general discussion board. Remember I talked about a general discussion board. It's called the Donut Shop. And this is where you will post your general questions if you have questions about the class. So a lot of information. Just make sure when you navigate around, read everything as you go through the assignments. Note that when you take your quiz, not the chapter exams, but your quiz, you get 2 chances for your quiz. So you can learn off of, maybe you missed a couple, you can take it again, and maybe you can up your score a little bit. So hopefully this helped a little bit. So with that being said, this will conclude our lecture on our syllabus review. Again, if you have questions, feel free to contact me via email or post them in the discussion area. There's more announcements, more information, more talking later on as we get further into the semester. So again, we're going to have a great semester. It's going to be a lot of fun. And that concludes our first lecture, which is our syllabus lecture. And I will talk to you soon.